Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you for clicking this video. My name is Darlie and today I'm going to be discussing my NICU experience. For those of you who don't know what a NICU is, it is a neonatal intensive care unit, which basically means that it's an ICU for newborns. So my NICU experience started on October 1st. That is when I had my beautiful baby girl, Jayla. I just can't help smiling because I think she is the most precious thing in the world. So Jayla was born on October 1st. I was 22 weeks and 6 days when I gave birth to my daughter. She was actually due on January 29th. So yes, my baby is a Libra, a very impatient Libra, and she wanted to make her entrance into the world a little bit early. Well, a lot of bit early. She was 18 weeks premature. So I don't know if you guys are moms. For those of you who are moms, you understand how like early she was. And then if you're not a mom, basically I was around like 5 months pregnant. Most women are, you're supposed to, I don't want to say you're supposed to, but when you're pregnant, they go up to like, you go up to 40 weeks. Some people go over 40 weeks, but 40 weeks is like, you know, normal. So I was 22 weeks. So you can imagine, like, I was a little over halfway there. So I gave birth to my daughter on October 1st via C-section. I had to have a classic C-section because my daughter was breached. Obviously she was not head down because it was not anywhere near time for her to come. I didn't have any symptoms. I just felt, you know, like just weird, a little sluggish, mild like stomach discomfort. Nothing that would really, you know, make you feel like, or make me feel like I was about to give birth. So we were my husband and I were actually out to dinner, and I was like, I feel weird, like I can't eat. We were at Duffy's, and I love Duffy's, and I love their fried shrimp, and I got fried shrimp and I couldn't eat it. And I'm like, man, something is wrong with me because I can eat, okay? And I did not want to eat. Like, I felt really sick. So I called my friend, and I also called my dad, and they both told me, you know, like, if you feel that bad, just go into the emergency room. It's better for them to tell you that nothing's wrong, and then you go home versus you going home and something happens, you know. So we went to the emergency room, waited around in triage for a while, like, because I didn't have any real symptoms. Like, they were just really like observing me, and I don't want to say I wasn't a priority, but I kind of wasn't a priority because they had more like serious things going on. At the time I did not know I was in labor, so I guess they felt like there's, you know, more severe cases, and you know, that's how hospitals work. I guess it's ranked, like, you know, they take most severe to the least severe. So when they finally did call me, the nurse came in. I gave her, like, you know, my history, told her I was 22 weeks along, and she decided that she was going to check my cervix. When she checked my cervix, she was like, oh baby, you're not going anywhere, you are 3 centimeters dilated already. So imagine my like shock and my dismay, because, you know, I was nowhere near ready to give birth. You know, at 5 months your baby is like barely developed, like barely. There's still people who have like really late term like abortions that weren't that far off from where I was currently like in my pregnancy. So I was freaking out. So there is a procedure that they were going to attempt to do called a cerclage, and that's pretty much where they go in and they stitch up your cervix. But because I was already 3 centimeters dilated and I was contracting, it wasn't really an option. Like, the doctor let me know, hey, we can go ahead and do this, but if we do this, you know, your water hasn't broken yet, we can try to put you on bed rest. But if we do try to go in with a needle and stitch you up, there is a possibility that we may rupture your water. So I felt like the pros at the cons at that point kind of outweighed the pros. So my husband and I, you know, we chose not to do it, and the doctor did not recommend it. and said that it probably wouldn't work anyway because I was already 3 centimeters dilated. And if I wasn't contracting, that'd be different. But obviously, if I wasn't contracting, I wouldn't be dilating. So it kind of went like hand in hand. So what they decided to do was they put me on bed rest. I had a nurse come talk to me, and she was in a situation like I was, except she was 24 weeks pregnant at the time, and they were able to put her on bed rest and kind of give her the drugs that they gave me to stop the contractions, and she was able to stay on bed rest for a long period of time. I think she said she got to like 32, 33 weeks, but you know, the longer your baby stays in, the better. Whether it's a couple days, a couple weeks, month or two, the longer they stay in to bake, the better. So at that point, they gave me medicine to stop my contractions. They put me on bed rest. My bed was upside down, so it was kind of like tilted backwards when my head was all the way back, and you know, my legs and stuff were up in the air because they felt like gravity was gonna they were gonna use gravity to kind of keep everything where it needed to be. So strict bed rest. I could not get up. I was pretty much admitted to the hospital, and they told me I'd be staying in the hospital until the baby came, whether that be a few days, a few weeks, a month or two, for however long they were able to keep her in, I'd be admitted into the hospital. So I immediately like started crying because it was just scary. It was a lot to take in. So yeah, so that's pretty much what we were doing. They gave me steroids to kind of help develop her lungs, because that's what they were really worried about, was her lungs, because the lungs are one of the last things to develop in your growing baby while you're pregnant. So I wasn't even there. So we had a doctor come in. He basically told us that we should terminate our pregnancy because our daughter had a 2% chance of, less than a 2% chance of surviving. He said that she wasn't viable. Her eyes would be fused shut. She wouldn't have skin. Just delivering her would probably kill her because she'd be so bruised. And you know, my husband and I, we acted on our faith, and we said no, we're not getting rid of our child. They also recommended that if she did survive the birth, that we not do anything to help her, as they felt like, you know, a baby that small, there's no point. So yeah, they said that we should do something called comfort care. And comfort care is pretty much like, you know, they deliver your baby, they put your baby on your chest, and you kind of just hold your baby until they take their last breath. And I refused. Wasn't happening, because I acted on my faith and I knew that my daughter was going to be okay. So I was on bed rest for about 4 days, and which was longer than the doctor said that I'd be on bed rest. He said that my daughter was coming by the end of the night. And my whole thing is, like, if you're going through a situation like this, I'm just here to tell you that the doctors do not have the final say so. The doctors went to school. They know what they know, but at the end of the day, we're not in control of anything. We're not in control of anything. The doctors aren't in control of anything. Like, at the end of the day, if that child belongs to you, that child is going to be yours. Whether you believe in God or whoever you believe in, when something is for you, it's for you, and there's nothing that's going to stop that thing from being for you. And I strongly believe that. Not just because, you know, I'm a Christian, but just in life, period. Even if I wasn't a Christian, like, because not everybody believes in God, but what I'm saying is just, you know, just my opinion. So I was on bed rest for 4 days before the contractions started again. I was having the contractions and they weren't reacting because on the monitor it wasn't showing that I was having contractions. I literally had to scream for a nurse, put her hand on my stomach, have her feel the knots, because she was like, oh, you're not having contractions, it's not showing up on the screen. I'm like, ma'am, I'm having contractions. So at that point, you know, they're rushing, they're scrambling. My husband had stepped out and I kept calling him because I'm like, yo, I'm in pain. Somebody help me, like, get the doctor, get a nurse, get somebody. So that was pretty much it. They rushed me into the operating room. They're running with me, trying to put a catheter in me while they're running. It was just a horrifying. I'm sorry about my lighting. My lighting is killing me right now. So it was just a horrifying experience. I was literally calling for somebody from the heavens to come down and help me because I was in that much pain. And with pregnancy, your body's natural response is for you to push. I could not push because my daughter was breached and she was so small. If I pushed her, my cervix would have closed on her head. So not just the pain of the contractions, but me trying to pretty much stop my body from doing what it's naturally supposed to do, you know? Like, I felt the urge to push and I was like, I can't push, I can't push, I can't push. Like, I'm just fighting it. So we get to the operating room. They switch me from like the stretcher onto the table. Mind you, they want me to kind of like move my body over, and I'm like, listen, I don't have any energy left in my body. Like, I don't care if it takes like 20 of y'all, lift me up and put me on this table. So I finally get to the table and they try to put like the I don't want to say it's an epidural because honestly I was so fried at that point. Like, I was in so much pain, I didn't know what it was. So this is my first child, so forgive me if this is wrong, but I don't know if like when you're going in for the C-section, they put, it was in my back, okay? They're trying to give me my anesthetic, you know, in my back, because for the C-section, I guess like they numb you from like waist down or whatever, and you're still pretty much awake and you know what's going on. You just don't, you're not, I don't want to say you don't feel, but you don't feel them cutting or whatever into you. So they're trying to do that for like a good 2 or 3 minutes. My baby's heart rate is dropping. And this doctor rushes in out of nowhere because like they kept trying to put the needle in my spine and it kept curving. And it would not go into my, like it would not take for anything. This man tried like 3 or 4 times and it would not take. So this doctor I've never seen before just runs in and is like, put her to sleep now, right now, put her to sleep with the gas right now. So they put me to sleep with gas. Like, the guy was like, okay, we're gonna count down from 5, and then I didn't hear nothing after that. He probably said 5-4 and I was already out. Like, that is some heavy duty stuff, okay? I was out. So when I woke up, I woke up maybe like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I looked to my husband. I'm like, what's going on? Like, are they ready to take the baby? And he looked at me like, girl, they took this baby at 10 o'clock. That's how out of it that stuff made me. Like, I did not know where I was. I thought I was still pregnant. It was crazy. So yeah, so when I woke up, he told me they had already took the baby. He showed me pictures. Like, I couldn't really see her face because they had her wrapped in like they had her wrapped in some sort of plastic. And that was, you know, the night that I delivered her. So the next day they were trying to have me get up and walk around so I can go down to the NICU and see her, because at our hospital, if you're not moving, they're not letting you go down there, because if you're in the NICU, they don't really have time for you to be passing out and things like that. Like, they have other things to be worrying about. So my husband started getting me up and had me moving, things of that nature, so I could go see my baby. So I was so miserable. After that, I went down and seen her, and I was just amazed. Like, she looked like a little mole rat. She was so small. She was more like, her weight was 1 pound 2 ounces. She was 11.5 inches long. She didn't really have skin. Her eyes weren't fuchsia though. Her eyes were open. Her skin was like raw and red and bruised. And I'm gonna show you one of her diapers. So this was the diaper size, micro preemie size that they had for her at the time. We had to fold it down to about like this for it to fit her, and it was still baggy. So This was her first diaper. This diaper compared to a size 1 diaper. So this is how tiny my baby was. She was smaller than this. Smaller than this. This was too big for her. So yeah, when we got there, like for the first 28 days we couldn't hold her because she was on a ventilator called the jet, and with that, it the baby's not able to come onto your skin. So after she transitioned off the jet and onto like a bed, like a more conventional type of ventilator, we were able to hold her and do touch time, and um, we had her, they gave us little cloths to put like in our shirts for us to wear around home and then bring in for her so she could get our scents, and they had one under her that they would give to us. And during this time it was really hard for me because my body is like producing all this milk. I'm pumping for her to bring to the hospital, but you know she can't eat, she's on a feeding tube, and she had a breathing tube down her throat obviously, which was really hard for me. So for the first five and a half months of her life, she had a breathing tube, and every time they tried to pull the breathing tube, it would not, she couldn't do it. She would be on something called CPAP for maybe like 3 hours max, and then her breathing was like, it was really labored. She couldn't, it was hard for her, so she'd end up having to get the breathing tube back. So after about 5.5 months, my husband and I made the decision along with her doctors to have her get a trach. And a trach is pretty much just an incision here with an airway. So because she was born so early, her airways were really small, and her airway was really small, and her lungs were just really scarred from, you know, that constant ventilator since she was born. The ventilator, the oxygen, the breathing tube, trying to pull the tube, trying to put it back. So we decided to give her a trach. She does have a trach currently, and I know when I was trying to make the decision, I was looking for videos on here about, you know, trach parents and how they handle it. I was scared, but honestly it was the best decision I could have ever made for her. She's so much more comfortable. She's a regular baby. She's rolling around, driving us crazy, trying to walk, trying to move. And this is all for a 22-weeker that they said would never be able to do any of these things. She vocalizes over her trach, which was really one of our concerns, because we were concerned that, you know, we wouldn't be able to hear her, but she vocalizes over that trach. A lot of times I'm up here and I can hear her downstairs screaming. So yeah, so in total we were in the NICU for 288 days. We did have an issue at home our first night and had to go back to the hospital for another 10 days. So in total, like through our NICU experience, was a total of 299 days in the hospital. And when I tell you it is trying, I had breakdowns like all the time. Like I cried myself to sleep so many nights because I wanted my daughter home. Like I wanted regular experiences like everybody else, like friends I was pregnant with. I wanted to have a regular baby shower. I wanted the maternity shoots. I wanted, you know, it was my first baby, and when you're young you feel like things can't go wrong, but they can. And I just want people to be empathetic to those that have experiences like this, that have micro preemies, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand something very small to them could be detrimental to our child. So if my child has a runny nose, I have to rush her to the hospital. I can't bring her out during flu season. We have to travel by ambulances when we go certain places, just because she does have a ventilator and she is on oxygen, and we don't want to be stuck somewhere and the battery dies, or we run out of oxygen, because that you know, it can kill her. So I just want people to be mindful, and I want people to be, you know, it's hard to say to be patient, but be patient if you are going through this experience. Know your baby is in the best place that they can possibly be, and that those nurses and doctors are going to do everything for your child to survive. Also trust yourself as a parent. Trust your gut. If you feel like it's right, then you do it. You don't have to consult anybody else about your child. Do what's right for your child. Like, the what I've learned throughout this whole experience is that, you know, people really do come and go, and you have to accept that. Like, you're gonna want a shoulder to cry on, and maybe you won't have it. It happens. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is you and your baby, and everything's gonna be okay. I hated when people told me everything was gonna be okay, because realistically sometimes you don't know. And this experience has taught me that, again, we're not in control of anything, and that you have to appreciate, you know, your time here while you have it with the people you have it with. I had one of her doctors tell me, like, you need to go in there, because I was so scared to touch her, and he was like, you need to go in there and you need to build experiences with your daughter, because you don't know if she's going to be here tomorrow. And it's the truth. With some of these babies, it's so touch and go. So we are so blessed, and we are forever humbled, and we thank God for giving us our daughter, and for her to be born so early, just to have respiratory issues and not any like neurological problems, or, you know, any other type of like real major issue, is just, it's just a blessing to us. So I'm going to be featuring her here. This is just a quick like little tidbit about, you know, our NICU experience. Again, my daughter does have a trach, so shout out to all the trach mamas and daddies out there, because it's not easy, but it is doable. If you guys have any questions for me, you can leave them in the comment box. You can message me. Please be sure to follow all my social media handles, and thank you for watching.